So, ladies and gentlemen, a hearty welcome here to our webinar, what we are doing the first time to give you a little insights about SSTH. I would like to talk a little about the target of this webinar today. The idea is that we have created a framework because you certainly get overwhelmed how the market could look like in the future. But this time we would a little change the perspective and show you from an educational institute. So in other words, from our view, what will be important, and the focus, of course, on our students and on our curriculum. So this is the idea of today of our webinar. Many thanks for your interest that you're all in. We have more than 14 participants already. This is why I started. So from the procedure, we would like to show you a video which has been recorded, and I'm gonna bring you a little closer to the framework, which is behind. It's a little more an academic approach right now, but I guess it's important that you understand where we are coming from. And this is why it's a kind of lesson we have recorded so far. Based on this, we'll start in 2 minutes. And during this session or even afterwards, we make a Q&A, but you can use your chat function to send questions directly to me, and I'm gonna select the questions, selecting in a way what is important, and probably we have double questions, and then we have certainly the next 10 to 15 minutes after our recorded video to discuss what could be the impact for us and on the market. Therefore, I would like to give it over to Nadine, and she will start now the video for our today's webinar.
Dear audience, welcome here in Passugg at our beautiful EHL campus. I would like to introduce myself. My name is Michael Hartmann. I'm the managing director of the school, and I would like to use a little time today to talk about the period, what we are facing right now along our corona situation. First of all, as we all know, is the corona obviously has on the tourism and hospitality sector a tremendous impact. 75 million jobs worldwide are on risk, as we know. Out of this, for Switzerland, we probably think that 23% will lose also here their jobs, which is corresponds to a kind of insolvency of around 3,200 companies, corresponding to 30,000 jobs. We would like to give you some insights how we as an educational institute do judge or see the situation. The most pressing questions are: how do we as experts see the hospitality education after COVID-19? And what kind of learnings can we as a hotel management school draw from this crisis? So to answer those questions, we have done this Lausanne report, which was a kind of outlook in the future. So we used the one model which we have designed for an hypothesis which was called vulnerability on the rise. And there we really drilled down to identify the triggers and to identify new opportunities and chances referring policies. And this is what I would like to go through with you. We developed a tool which is called the Smiley model. We talk on the left-hand side about fragility, and on the right-hand side about resilience. If we see the situation we are facing today, we identified 4 major triggers which are more shaking the market to make the market more fragile, so forth. So the 4 triggers we identified is about the pandemic situation, of course it's obvious, the recession which is following, probably the skills gaps which has been faced or identified during this period, nobody was prepared, and about the environment. And these 4 triggers which are now leading to a high fragility market, I would like to refer to. So the second extreme, on the other hand, is about the resilience. and we also researched and identified 4 opportunities which has to be embedded in the management of hotels, and this is about prevention. Are there prevention opportunities? Diversification, so I'm not talking about porter right now, it's a different type of diversification. We talk certainly about education and about the location itself. These are the components which are interwoven, which I would like to refer to now. So I would like to refer first of all to the pandemic situation. So what are the items describing this pandemic situation? It's about the extent, tremendous globally obviously, unpredictable, the speed, nobody knew that it's coming so fast, the dependency on regulators, which is now of course part of the measures. So we depend now on the regulators, on the governments, which is a totally new situation and is of course making the thing even more fragile. If it comes to recession, I mentioned you already in my first words what could be the impact, what the experts say. So we have a shakeout of many properties on the market, of course. We will face a lot of travel restrictions, and this will at the end also stimulate a type of market consolidation. So referring to skills gaps we are facing, it's certainly about flexibility. Do we have really accommodated this an agile process to really master such situations, and what skills are necessary for this? Creativity is certainly in the focus, and the change management. A new field which you should have permanently now in mind, because it probably will not stop just with the coronavirus. The new normal will be around and challenging you to also face these type of challenges. Environmental, I'm convinced we will see new values triggered by your guests, a new mindset, the new normal also in this part, the social part. Climate protection is something, and you have to be aware that you are part of a touristic supply chain as a hotelier. So this interconnection will play a tremendous role in the future. In knowing that we have a rising fragility, in knowing what could be the options to create resilience, we have also to consider in our model the changes of values. And we identified in our analysis 4 major items. It's about security, even also the felt security. It's about regionality. It's about the resonance, so community, customer to customer. And it's about the authenticity. And these components together impact how we create now our new curriculum and what are the focus topics we would like to consider. So in my mind, the customers are going to want more authenticity, more resonance, talking to other people, discover new relations, discover the environment, valuing the products you're gonna offer, and there will be a huge portion of solidarity. This has at the end, I guess, a very high impact on the so-called mass tourism, because this is not reflected by the new values. In other words, also this mass tourism will at the end has to come up with a new format. So we identified obviously right now the rising fragility. We have been talking about the creation of resilience, but what is important right now, how we gonna create now our curriculum in reflecting the COVID crisis, is that we have also to consider the values, changes in the society. So at the end, we talk about the new skills needed or extended skills as a part of the new normal core competences. So basically, we talk about the creation of a kind of a customer experience management. You quite often see that on corp level, strategies are of course articulated, but to transfer this in really the operation, there is mostly tremendous gaps how you transfer this, what has been strategically described. So this kind of management and design of the customer journey, the customer experience, is a major issue where I think we should definitely contribute. Interestingly, the facility itself should also contribute to the customer journey. There shouldn't be any expectation gaps between, so it's definitely part of this. In doing such things, there are new tools on the market and new perspectives also on business simulation. How could you mitigate risk and have proper business simulation tools? The fourth part is, of course, the emotional intelligence. You have to understand your guests, you have to reflect the expectations, and you have to be able to handle the guests referring this kind of expectations. So we talk about now the emotional intelligence, the so-called soft skills. We call it the affective hospitality science. So to just summarize, the changing values of the society, respectively the guests and the guest expectations, will have this impact on a new type of customer journey, a new type of management the customer journey, new type of tools, and to bring it in the focus of your operation and strategy. This is the link between fragility, resilience, changing values, and what is our focus referring the new curriculum we're going to provide and develop. So to give you even more insights and various perspectives, what we discussed about today, we plan a second session with other institutional educational providers in this market, that we can share our different experience and the strategies behind. And thirdly, to prove that we are going the right direction, we will also invite some general managers of large hotels, giving you the insights how they're gonna incorporate right now the situation, especially in terms of agility, flexibility, and the new skills scheme they are focusing on. Many thanks.
So far to the framework, and now we have our Q&A. I got some questions here I would like to answer and to share with you. So the first question I got is the hospitality business ready for the students trained with an affective curriculum? So this affective curriculum is obviously focusing on emotional intelligence and soft skills. I guess we, as you probably know or do not know, we do it together with the University in Geneva, because they have an affective science institute, which gives us more the academic background for this kind of soft skills, which is a relatively new field. So what we are doing with our students and our curriculum, it's first of all about, if you start this affective approach, it's about self-organization and basic communication. You know, to have the first step, it's about self-awareness. Do people really know from the inner and outer perspective how they are recognized? Probably not. The understanding of others is something where we're going to start. And at the end, it's also about, in the first basic curriculum step, about the emotional regulation, so impulse control, how to create the right empathy. Is it per nature? Can you train such things? This is interesting in the context of affective hospitality. The second step we're going to plan is more the operational internship. So we talk about to be part of a community, to take social responsibility, to have an effective teamwork, that you can really, with your emotions, also take a type of leadership to stimulate teams in the right direction. And the third level will be a so-called management internship, referring effective. So it's about, it's going live. So you will be confronted with situation where you have to use your tools. And this is something which is certainly complementing your personality, especially if you would like to grow in the position to be a host. We call it at the end also a kind of stage director, because you are on stage and you have to manage this in this new context. The second question I got is, what will be the new normal practices in tourism and hospitality industry? Yeah, this is a very good question. The prediction is right now that there will be a kind of renationalization, meaning the people will more focusing on their own countries for this type of services in the tourism and hospitality era. But this is probably not so sustainable. So it is the assumption is there will still be a marked consolidation because it's about the positioning. I was talking a little about the shakeout. So we do not know how in the long term the people will react and how the new normal will look like. I guess there will be certainly a differentiation between resort and leisure hotels versus city hotels, because the guest structure is totally different. And you see the current numbers, the occupancy rate for the city hotels are totally down, whereas the resort hotel have right now a peak. But like I said, this peak is probably not sustainable. We will face the winter season and the next summer. Let's see how the new normal looks like. At the end, it's all about positioning. I got another question about what are the opportunities that await hospitality and tourism students and graduates after the pandemic. I guess it will be a very positive experience. So the market definitely will recover. I'm not just talking that there will be a vaccination, but there will be a new type of solidarity, I guess. The appreciation and valuing of services and products will be a different kind. Safety and security, also felt security, will play a tremendous role. And in the future, if you would like to travel to the Seychelles or Mauritius, this will use more planning, more serious planning. So it will be not the same like before. At the end, it's about the handling of the new kind of values, the guest expectation, and this will definitely need a new positioning and a different kind of skill set. So assessment, HR, there will be a huge impact, I guess, and we would like to contribute. I got another question. What are the digital skills required in the hospitality industry in the post-corona world? Well, I guess coming back to the guest journey and using the cluster pre, on, and post-trip, and you know the pre-trip and post-trip will be more on the big data, small data, algorithm, IT platforms. There, people should really understand the big picture behind how this is working today and also in the future. If it comes to the on-stay facility and building management, will have a tremendous impact even on this felt security and sustainable environment. So there should be more focus on, and this needs, I guess, also an additional educational part referring the curriculum. I got another question. Does the COVID-19 protection concept lead to a permanent capacity reduction in F&B and accommodation? If so, how can this loss of sales be compensated? This is obviously a little for the institutional providers. I guess it will have no impact in the long run, because what we are doing, referring e-learning and blended learning, strategically, we would like to build up our campus on a so-called campus plus concept. So at the end, it's about edutainment. So we also would like to provide the students the possibility to experiment their applied skills and empowerment. So we're thinking about to also operate live hotels run really by young talents. This is new and this is enriching the overall experience. So this Campus Plus concept has to do with a face-to-face approach, which a huge intercultural experience with an emotional and a social experience where we're going to build in or use it also as part of our curriculum. If it comes to the e-learning and blended, I guess it will be a hybrid thing, where also, by the way, the tuition fees will be different and the experience will also be different. So we really divide our Campus Plus concept versus the hybrid experience versus a pure online learning. This needs, of course, a clear focus, but in our environment for the professional education, there you have to have a clear look what you're doing there, but the edutainment focus with our Campus Plus concept, which has certainly parts of blended and e-learning inside, this will be our major focus, and the other stuff is the hybrid. We would like to extend our reach, and this could be a full-time or part-time experiment. How to involve in a blended format this live experience, this is right now what we are working on. I got a question. This is a German question from Kur, which is an interesting one. So it's about how Graubünden will develop in the touristic and hospitality segment. Like I said, it's interesting right now. The booking numbers for the leisure hotels are tremendously high. So we talk about a peak for this summer. This is reflecting the renationalization in a way. On the other hand, due to the new cancellation policies, people book hotels 10, 14 at the same time. Therefore, the last minute dropout or booking is a new topic, but we do not know how it will work for the winter time and the next season in 2021. I guess this gives time for the hospitality providers to think about repositioning and assigning their portfolio according to the demand and the new normal, what we discussed already. Another interesting question, will some students for the upcoming semester have to take online classes? We here in Passugg, we plan that referring visa, it could be that students have to start their semester online, but it looks quite good right now that they could come on campus in time. Nevertheless, referring the regulations, what I mentioned, we have to reflect the capacities. So if we have to fulfill all regulations, what we of course will do, it could happen that we have just half of the class capacities we can entertain. So we will have then a hybrid solution between off and online. But at the end, and this is probably also the long-term question behind, the differentiation of the Campus Plus versus hybrid will be there. Even we would like to provide on both sides an experience. Nevertheless, our focus is to provide live experience for our students, which goes much more closer also to the affective curriculum, that you could apply your skills and you get also empowered. You can play, you can be at the 6th semester probably the director of a hotel, live hotel, for 4 weeks. This is at least what we planning right now. Another question, does the corona crisis have an impact on jobs that will be available to young hospitality graduates? I guess the market, and there's no doubt also internationally, will come back. but the recovery time is not clear. I guess the new normal will trigger a more sophisticated market requiring new skill set. This is what we're working on in our curriculum. And the market, and this is what the experts say, will be back around 2022. So there is nevertheless, this is the largest growing market on the world. It will come back. Even the steps when the recovery time will be is not so clear. This is for the time being just a prediction. But the market itself as a potential, and this is also that I combine now the next question, is hospitality an industry with future potential for young talents despite the crisis? Travel and hospitality as a lifestyle element will definitely stay, and I honestly assume that other industries which are now suffering from the crisis will adapt more to the service mindset of hospitality. So I think hospitality could pioneer the service industry, which will also be reflected by other industries which are per se not seen to be hospitality-like. But customer service orientation, this is the trigger also, I guess, for this shift right now. Another question here, what is the most important skills in the future to be able to react on crises like that? Yeah, this is what we are talking about. I guess at the end, it's about agility, change management. You have to have the right skills for empathy and effective leadership. So the old, more rigid organization models will probably not survive. It needs a different spirit. It needs the willingness to be more agile and being able to react. Another question, if you allow me, how will you educate these new skills at EHL SSTH? So like I told you, we're creating now this effective curriculum together with the University of Geneva. These more applied skills we're going to do together for the new Rahmenlehrplan together with the University in St. Gallen. And we try now to add a live hotel, which is obviously operated by young talents, but this is in the planning right now. But this will compose our curriculum with a very, very special experience under the flag of Campus Plus, but also considering more and more hybrid models which have a different reach and probably a different format. So this was more or less the questions I have. If you have some more questions, I would appreciate if you either send me an email or you ask me right now. If it's not the case, we will continue our sessions in phase 2 and 3. Phase 2 is that we're going to also talk to other educational providers to share their perspectives. And thirdly, we would like to talk more about the positioning thing also with people in operation, like general managers, how they implement and accommodate this new agility, change management, and how they prepare and see the situation, referring the future skills. So that's it from my side. Many thanks for listening, and I would appreciate to invite you for our next sessions. You know my email address, michaelhartmann@sssth.ch. So for whatever question is coming around, please contact me and I'm more than willing to answer. Many thanks and have a good evening. Bye-bye.